Hello and welcome back to the Trans Talk Hub podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa, alongside Braxton.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, welcome back. It has been a minute since we've done a episode, mostly because I've just got done, not done, but I've been recovering from bottom surgery.
Crazy.
We're not going to talk about that, fully in this episode later on. Today, we're going to talk about how the left is absolutely losing their mind right now, post-election. So, yeah, we'll get into that.
I'm scared. I'm scared. Rightfully so. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. They're like losing their fucking minds. Like it is the craziest shit. It's wild. As if like this man hasn't already served as our president, right? It's like all these crazy things you think he's gonna do. Why didn't he already do them? He already served 4 years. Like we're not in shambles, right? Our country didn't go up in flames. Like everything's fine. It's just it's sad even. It's just really fucking sad. Like I want to grab these people and just hold them and be like, dude, it is okay. You're fine. It's gonna be okay. you're batshit for no reason.
Exactly. Yeah. So, since we're already talking about that and, the lashing out and all the craziness, let me go ahead and just share my screen here and we will dive into the first little thing. Because here we go. You can see everything, right?
Yeah, it looks good. I mean,
Okay.
it looks awful, but it looks good.
It does look awful, yeah, of course. So, woman murdered father with pickaxe on election night after Trump's victory. So, we can come down here. Police found the wife of a prominent trans-identified writer covered in blood and clapping her hands after she allegedly became overwhelmed by the results of the 2024 presidential election and murdered her father with an ice axe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. It is truly fucking wild. Like what? How how do we get to this point? Like this is truly just heinous as fuck. Like this is crazy. I'm hoping this is the last instance of this that we see. We shouldn't have even seen this instance of this happening. However, it's crazy to me to see the left side being so afraid of this election and what's to come and blah blah blah. Can you not tell why we're afraid of you fuckers? Cause y'all do this shit. That's crazy. Y'all are crazy. Y'all out here murdering people. Not just people, your father, bro. Your own daddy. What? That's crazy. Like you have to be so incredibly weak-minded to be on the left. To be this far on the left. Let me say. I have friends that are on the left that I think are they're great people. However, this is weak-minded shit. This is crazy. Screaming and losing your mind is weak-minded shit. Crying and thinking that you're gonna wake up a slave. I saw that one. That's weak-minded shit. This is incredibly weak-minded shit. This is sad. This is sad as fuck.
It really is. And honestly, I know because you commented on some, but you've seen I had a couple posts, right, where I was talking about like, oh, this is so crazy, like how people are reacting to things post-election.
Mm-hmm.
They were treating people like so harshly just because of who they voted for.
Yeah.
Just because I couldn't vote, right? But of course I did state on there that yes, my vote would have went to Trump.
Right.
And people immediately were like, oh, you didn't read Project 2025, did you? Or you didn't do this or you didn't do that. And like, people have treated me so different just because of that. And they're like, oh, yeah. Well, everyone always says like, let's just like put our political differences aside. And they keep saying like, oh, we can't put it aside because now you've shown your morals and values.
That
like
you hate me.
Okay, but your morals and values are allowing you to like treat me so shitty.
Correct. So like, is it really about morals and values at that point? Is it truly about that? Like that's, I don't know. I think that whole argument is really silly. And yes, I saw the post that you posted and everybody commenting on there, and it was crazy. You were there when I did my TikTok live, and we had like 1,000 people in this room, and they're all just one. That my biggest takeaway from that is that it is truly an echo chamber. It's truly an echo chamber. It's just repeating the regurgitated shit, the same thing that you hear over and over and over. Nobody really thinking for themselves. Nobody wanting to have a conversation. Nobody wanting to talk to me about, well, why? Some people did, don't get me wrong, but majority of those comments were, what was it, like slugs for salt, right? Or chickens for Chick-fil-A, right? They're basically saying that I'm voting against my own interests, that I'm voting against myself, that I'm ready for, them to off me essentially, or whatever the fuck it is that they think is going to happen. And it's just silly, and there's no like maturity to it whatsoever. When I'm voting, I am not voting just as a trans man. I am voting as a citizen of America. I am voting as a part of this country. What is going to make our country better? The last 4 years have not been better by any means. Do I agree with every last thing that Trump does or says? Absolutely not. I'm never going to agree with every last thing that any human being does or says. Half the time, I don't necessarily always agree with the things that I do and say. Why? Because I'm a human and I make mistakes and I fuck up and I don't do everything perfect. I'm not expecting perfection, right? However, I would like to be able to afford to live again, for sure. I would really like to stop being fucking pandered to, which not even that they're pandering to people like you and me. They're not even pandering to the actual trans people. They're pandering to these weak-minded fucks that think they're trans, that say they're trans, and then everybody affirms that they're trans because you said you are. That's crazy. You guys are fucking everything up for people like us. So I have every right to be upset, and I'm going to be upset about it because at this point, like, everybody's keeps saying the thing about taking surgeries away. Okay, of course they're going to take away our funding because y'all have scared everybody out of their fucking minds. You're out here murdering your daddy. Of course they're scared of us. What do you mean? How is this their fault for being afraid of us? Take a little bit of accountability. And that's my issue. And that is why I voted for Trump, because I don't want to be pandered to anymore. I don't want to hear trans as this huge politicized topic anymore, because it wasn't supposed to be like that ever. I just want to live my life. And I was doing that just fine from 2016 to 2020. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody fucking gave a shit. And now it's all anybody wants to talk about. It is insane. Are y'all not tired of this? And then the actual trans people, if you are actually trans and you're subscribing to this shit, how? How are you still subscribing to this shit? Sorry, I'm going off on a whole tangent at this point, but like, Jesus, I'm just so tired of it. It's crazy. This is bonkers. Like, y'all are losing your minds for what? We're fine. Everything's fine. It's gonna be okay. It's so crazy to me. It's so fucking crazy to me.
No, I'm glad you really went down everything that you did because it's true. Like, so I don't think we're losing surgeries. I don't think we need to
No.
stockpile our hormones
Correct.
and do all of that. The reason being is because I think so. Sure, the left is really fucked up a lot of people's thinking on trans people.
Absolutely.
And so that's why these conversations are potentially brought up to, could this happen, right? Well, if it does, it won't be because of people like you and I. It'll be because of the far left people who have been spewing all kinds of fucking craziness over the past, what, I don't know how long, since fucking beginning of COVID when
Yeah.
non-binary became a thing,
Right.
right? Because non-binary wasn't really a thing before the fucking
It was just androgyny
lockdown.
before.
Yeah,
We've
it
had
was
this conversation.
androgyny. We did. But regardless, it would be because of those people, not people like you and I,
Correct.
or people like Blair or whatever.
Correct.
And I think people forget. Do you forget people like Blair White and Buck Angel and all these people? They have a platform, right?
Mhm.
So if Trump or the federal government were to try to take surgeries away or hormones away, you don't think those people would speak up about that?
Correct. Correct.
Right. So you don't think that there would be a big amount of community who would come together for once, like in all its craziness, right? We would come together and we would make it work.
Yep.
We don't need to freak the fuck out.
No.
Nobody needs to freak out. I promise you.
Yep.
Also, I want to kind of share it here because I want to go into it a little bit, and we're already kind of talking about it. So why not, just kind of go to it, anyway. So This was posted by Glad, so I know the source is a little,
Bias.
questionable, left led, whatever.
Mhm.
But the way they stated it, I mean, I agree with it. It's exactly that. They're trying to share like why you should be afraid and fearmonger people still. But some of this is true, right? So like outlawing gender affirming care for minors at the federal level. What's wrong with
Sure.
this? What
Ooh,
is wrong with that? Like,
yeah,
why do if you're watching this and you're like, oh my god, like, why are you worried about that? Why do you want minors to continue to get gender affirming care?
yep,
Right? Minors. This is my thing. I've always said that like I'm not against like because right trans kids exist, right? We know that we
sure. I was
were
a trans
trans
kid.
kids at
Yes,
some point,
sure.
but the thing is that what's wrong with allowing your child to dress more femininely or masculine or whatever, right? They can transition on a
Right.
social level, and
Correct.
that's fine.
Correct.
However, it's the medical end, like I just got bottom surgery at 31 years old. There's no fucking way that a child, right, anyone under the age of 18,
Yep.
should would be able to handle this type of surgery that I
Yep.
got. There is no way. I barely got through it. My own self. I'm still going through the recovery. It's not meant for someone under the age of 18. It's not. Hormones are not. Like a lot of this stuff is just I'm sorry. It should not be available to minors.
Yep.
There's no way. So I don't understand how anyone could be even mad at that. Like, why is this even on the list? Like, oh, you should be worried about this. What?
You shouldn't. I think if you are worried about that, something's wrong with you. So at that point, fuck your opinion. Truth be told, if you are okay with minors medically transitioning, and that includes hormones, that includes anything that is going to change their body that is potentially irreversible, which most of this shit is. If you're willing to just throw a child into that in the name of what being inclusive, something's wrong with you. Like you are so brainwashed, you are so far gone that I worry. You need therapy. You need to go see someone. You need to talk to somebody about this. Now, granted, what fucking therapist do you talk to nowadays? Because they're also all trained to just affirm this shit, which is crazy. But it's just wild, you know. And people are saying that, oh, that this doesn't happen. That's not a thing that happens. It absolutely is a thing that happens. It is a very quick, easy Google search, and you will see that children under the age of 18 are having surgeries, double mastectomies, bottom surgeries, things along those lines. Jazz Jennings, I think, was like 17 when she had her first surgery, and that's crazy. That's crazy. And there were so many complications that came along with that. I mean, it got plastered all over the TV for America to watch this shit show go down. And we still don't have a problem with this? How? How? I truly don't understand that. That is nothing to be afraid of. I didn't transition until I was 18, and I'm fine. And that was just starting hormones. I haven't had any surgeries. I'm fine. Everything turns out fine. We should be teaching children how to be mentally resilient. Because at the end of the day, the world is not an easy place to live in, regardless if you're trans or you're not trans, right? There are so many things that are hard to overcome, anyways. Let's not add shit to a child's plate of shit that they need to try to understand when it's way too fucking early for them to try to understand that. They want to wear boy clothes or girl clothes or cut their hair or grow their hair out or wear makeup or don't wear makeup, whatever. That's fine. The way they express is fine. But to put them through any sort of medical intervention for this type of shit is evil. It's vile. It's demonic. It's gross. So I have absolutely no issue with taking this shit away from kids. No issue whatsoever. I'm here for it.
I don't either. And I share a lot of that. Well, not a lot. I share every single view that you just shared.
Yeah.
There's nothing you said that I refute, So, and that's the crazy thing is like even for me, right? If I were to go back in time and be like, oh, you could, like, I didn't get to live socially
Yeah.
when I was a kid,
Yep.
I would have been just happy with that, like I wouldn't have needed, hormones or surgeries
Yeah.
or whatever.
I mean, that's
Like,
how it was for me. That's how I started. I started by cutting my hair, wearing boy clothes, even like for like band events, right? I went and told them, I was like, hey, I'm not comfortable wearing that dress anymore. I'm going to wear a tuxedo like the rest of the guys wear. They let me wear the fucking tuxedo. It was not a big deal. And that alone was enough for me to be like, fuck yeah, this feels great. This is awesome. I can handle this. Really, that's all a kid needs. Because let's be honest, most
Exactly.
kids aren't, going to go through that type of change anyways. There's no reason. They'll be fine.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly. So, and then we get into this using the government to investigate and potentially halt trans healthcare. We're going to get into that because I
Yep.
guarantee that statement right there is probably freaking people out right there. It's the wording. Upon my inauguration, this is Trump's verbiage, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Upon my inauguration, I will direct the FDA to convene an independent outside panel to investigate whether transgender hormone treatments and ideology increase the risk of extreme depression, aggression, or even violence, said Trump. I know kind of where this comes from as well, because this talks about like the HRT thing, and I know that he did talk about he wants the FDA to be investigated to see if there was any sort of financial increase for like or anything like that for them promoting, like if there's any ill actions that are happening behind
Right.
things. Why would you be against that? Like we talked about this before,
Yep.
how like why would you want someone doing things for you the wrong reason? Like you're just money to them. Like, no,
Right.
I want to speak to somebody who actually genuinely wants to help me,
Yep.
not who's, oh, Alyssa's going to add to my pocketbook today.
Yep. Well, I mean, I think another thing they're talking about here is that, whether this hormone treatment and ideology increases the risk of extreme depression, aggression, and even violence. I think a lot of what's being spoken on here is detransitioning, right? Because if we allow these things to happen at the rate we're allowing them to happen, with no safeguards, no gatekeeping, if you will, how many people are going to take these hormones and go through these changes, and now they are majorly depressed, or they're more aggressive, or they're more violent than they were previously, because this was not the right route for them. We're seeing more and more and more of that. And again, if you don't believe it, it is a very quick and easy Google search to find any of this. There are so many detransitioners speaking out currently. There's Reddit pages full of detransitioners that regret everything that they were put through. There are people suing their providers and their doctors because they were given informed consent that was not very informed. And this is happening more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, consistently enough that this is truly a problem, and they're just trying to circumvent that. Again, I see absolutely no issue with that.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes back to what I said, right? That's what's
Mm,
causing like these detransitioners
yep.
is, the like if there is any like doctors or um therapists, even like any of these people who are making money off of transition, yeah, they should be shut down. Like, why would you? I don't understand why somebody would not be okay with that. Like I said, I don't want somebody to be a part of my care if you don't actually care about me.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy. And that's kind of what that talks about. Like, I know I kind of added a little bit more to that
Sure.
because I wanted to specify that that's also what he was talking about is he wants to investigate the companies that are doing the hormones and wants to make sure that there's no excessive profit gains out of that.
Yep.
That's really what this boils down to as well. Because I know that they didn't mention that, but of course they didn't, right?
Of course.
Because it's led by the left. But regardless, that's what he really wants to do, and I don't understand why somebody would be against that. So this one is freaking people out, especially this part. But ceasing all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. Now, we talked about this leading into the podcast, but
Yep.
we need to focus on this part, right? I know people are focusing on the any age and they're like,
Hmm.
oh, we're going to lose our hormones. We can't have surgeries anymore. Wait a minute. This states promoting the concept. Okay. Do we know what concept means? Concept would be the idea of, right?
Correct.
So That is the idea of sex and gender transition, right? This is programs that are promoting the concept of gender transition. Why would you want to support something like that? Like, oh, there's this program that you can sign up for, and they'll tell you all about transitioning, and you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if you're a minor, you're
Yep.
an adult, whatever. They'll sign everybody up.
Yep.
Why would you want that to proceed?
Correct. It's crazy. Yeah, that's that when I did that live, this was something that a lot of those people were very, very focused on. Did you not hear him say at any age? So did you not hear anything leading up to the at any age statement, anything prior to that, or did you just hear that, cherry picked what you want out of it and then ran with it? Because that's what I'm hearing. It's
That's
we're
all
not
I've heard throughout their whole like spiel of that
mhm,
is the cherry picking.
correct.
That's why I felt like I had to break this down like we're in fucking preschool.
Obviously.
Do we know
Obviously.
what this word means? Have you ever heard it before, and do you know its true meaning?
Correct.
Right? Because I feel like, and I hate to say it, but I feel like with the left, you got to do it. You got
Yeah,
to do it
absolutely. It's
because
babysitting. It's fucking babysitting.
exactly. Because why can me and you read this one thing and not have to go back and like, oh, but this word? No, we read the whole thing and we understood it.
Yep.
Like, oh, programs that are promoting this. Yeah, sure, fine with it.
Yeah. Part of me feels like some of these people just really enjoy drama and like feed on it and just live on having something to be dramatic about. It's wild. It's truly wild, and I feel like that is really what this boils down to. It's slightly off topic, but when I did that live that had to do with me voting for Trump and me being a trans man for Trump, there was a woman who, or at least I think it's a woman. I don't know. It's giving woman for sure. Um, they took it upon themselves to make a TikTok about me and about the live that I had done. And this is a black woman, and which not that there's anything wrong with that. Who cares, right? We're just humans at the end of the day. I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. Who gives a shit? Um, but apparently, me voting for Trump and me having a platform to speak on to promote this is me wanting to continue white supremacy, me wanting to uphold white supremacy. Like, and it's just these crazy ass outlandish, like, I didn't say anything at all, not once in that live, that had anything to do with white supremacy, that had anything to do with black people, that had anything to do with white people or race in general, right? And it's just crazy to me to see like how unhinged. Like, I watched the video that she put out many times, multiple times, just trying to like make sense of it, and there is not a single thing in this video that it's just that they get upset and then they boom, they're rolling, they're just fucking rolling, and just anything they can fucking think of it, whatever it is. Like, I don't even know how to explain that. I don't live in that, so I don't know what that comes from. It worries me for them. I genuinely believe these people need therapy, regardless of what side of the argument you're following on, right? Whether it's that you think that I'm transphobic or you think I'm a fucking white supremacist, whichever side, like, please get help. Please, for the like, I don't know what is going on, but this is crazy. Like, y'all just take shit and run with it, because nothing that was said in this says that they're going to take away my testosterone, or they're going to take away your estrogen, or that they're going to just completely eradicate us as adults, or not allow us to be trans anymore. There's nothing in this statement that says that. Not even that at any age. It's crazy.
It really is, and honestly, that's what people latch onto. But of course, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for the left to latch onto a few things and just run with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so then we get into the next little part: cutting federal funding for inclusive schools, including any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our children.
Snap.
Why, once
Snap.
again, why are we in here? Like, why is this in here? Why is this a bullet point of like, hey, you
People
guys
to
should
care.
know that this is what they're trying to do to you? They're trying to actually make things make sense.
Correct.
And that is so scary, and we should not be for it.
Well, not only that,
What?
they're not trying to fear monger your children anymore. The amount of videos I have seen of parents telling their children that Trump has been elected president, and the children crying, babies, little babies, they don't even understand this shit. They don't understand anything about the real fucking world, and they are scared that Trump is our president. Why? Because you instilled fear into your own child. You fearmonger your own child. That's disgusting. How are y'all not seeing this? And the fact that he wants to not invoke all this fear in your children over all sorts of shit, right? Whether it be race, whether it be trans related shit or sexual content or whatever it is, children don't need to be involved in that. You get this little tiny blip of time to be innocent. Allow them to just be innocent. They're babies. It's crazy to hear this from the side that like preaches that kids need to be protected. Protect the trans kids. Why not just protect kids in general, point
Exactly.
blank, period? You don't give a fuck about the kids. You give a fuck about your agenda. And it is
100%.
so fucking proven when the only slogan y'all want to hold on to is protect trans kids and not just protect kids in general. That when we do this, then we get those people. That's probably how this girl came along that says that I'm being fucking racist strictly because I voted for Trump. That is inherently not true. Or the people that say that I'm a racist inherently because I was born white, as if I had a fucking choice in that. That's crazy. Or the people that think that children should be able to medically transition or that they need to be talking about that at school. That's wild. That's crazy. This is wildly irresponsible. If you truly believe that that's the things that children need to be having put in their ear, that's irresponsible as fuck. And you need help. Point blank period. There's no way around that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Absolutely. So this next one, we've talked about it. We had a whole episode on
Yeah.
it. But banning transgender athletes from competing on teams that match their gender identity.
Mhm.
So basically, in retrospect, we know what that means. They're saying no biological males in women's sports,
Correct.
and we talked about this, and I've stated like as a trans woman, I'm totally fine with like there not being trans women in physical sports. Like, there's no reason why trans women should be like boxing
Correct.
a biological female
Yep.
or doing any sort of physical sport for that matter.
Agreed.
Now, we talked about this as well. Like the other stuff, if it's non-physical, like I think I don't know if we really consider it a sport, but I
Right.
think it was on ESPN, right? We talked about it before, but like chess, like currently trans women cannot compete against women in competitive chess. That to me is a bit crazy, right?
Yeah,
Because
that I
that's
don't
not a
care about.
physical sport.
Yeah.
That to me actually that sounds a little misogynistic. It's like, oh
Correct.
well,
Like
you
like
know,
women aren't mentally up to speed with men. That's crazy.
exactly.
That's
That stuff is totally different, right?
for sure.
But when we talk about physical sports like boxing, any sort of physical sport, we all know what physical sports are, right?
Right.
So
Football,
that type of
basketball,
stuff, yeah,
wrestling,
biological
baseball.
males, trans women, whatever, we don't need to be competing like that.
Yep.
And I get it, right? It sucks because it's like, well, I guess trans women just can't compete in sports. Like, I get it, but it's like there's just so much that goes into that and things that people probably don't even think about,
Yep.
But, for me, like, yeah, it has to stop.
It's crazy. It's all crazy. I'm here for this 100%. I don't
Same.
see an issue with banning this at all. I
Me
really
either.
don't. I just don't. And I've yet to hear any argument to change my mind on that. So I mean, if you got one, bring it. Leave it in the comments below. But I've yet to hear one that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So this one, they worded it completely different from how I heard Trump say it himself. But asking Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. Now, even within that, if you break that down, right? For one, there isn't any other gender besides male and female.
Correct.
So let's start there, right? We know that gender and sex are two separate things, right? Gender, yeah, there is two. Same thing with sex, right? Both of them, there's only two.
Right.
Gender, is we know is a societal thing. It's how, all of that. Your sex biologically cannot be changed.
Right.
We know that. I am a biological male. I'm aware of it. you know, like on paper now, because I've had bottom surgery, like, yeah, sure, they can be changed to female, but I know that like I am never going to get away from being biologically male. I have
Right.
no intention to. That's what makes me trans, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
and I'm fine with it, you know, but there is no other like gender. Like I know the non-binary people are going to run in here and be like, "Oh
Sure.
no, you're wrong. We exist." Like, sure you do, but you're not another gender.
Right.
You're non-binary. You're basically saying you're the absence of the two because you
Right.
don't fit either.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it's like a whole thing. But even within that, like, what's wrong with that? There is not a third gender.
All they're
Like,
doing
and
is pulling us back into reality. They're trying
exactly.
to make sure that everybody is within the confines of reality, and that's just a thing we can't escape. You can sit here all day and say that the sky is green. It doesn't make the sky green. The sky is still blue. So, it's the same way I can sit here all day and say I'm a man. However, I am still a biological female. My mom and I were talking about this yesterday. We talked on the phone for like 4 hours. And one of the things that we talked about was that there is absolutely no way to deny that every single day I am pretending to be something that I am not. And I know that people hear that and they fucking lose their shit and they think, wow, Braxton must really hate himself. So, do you know how much you have to love yourself in order to be so completely fucking real with yourself? So completely honest with yourself? I don't need to lie to myself. I know what I am. But the thing is that beyond pretending to be whatever or being a trans man or whatever the fuck it might be, there are so many other things that I am. So I'm okay with it. I'm cool. I'm a good person. I love people. You know, I have a very open and very kind heart. That's enough for me to be proud of. The rest of it doesn't really fucking matter, right? The basis of who I am, the core of who I am and the way I carry myself in this world is enough for the rest of that, the reality, the truth that is kind of shitty. Okay, who cares? I can live with that. That's okay. All this is saying is that we are going to recognize that there are only two genders and that there are, whether you're talking gender or sex, there is male, there is female, there is man, there is woman. There is nothing else besides that. Nothing else besides. Again, if you have an argument that you think is going to completely change my mind, please drop it in the comments below because I have yet to hear a single fucking argument that will make me believe that there is anything other than man and woman, male or female. There is not a single argument. And I have opened TikTok lives to this discussion many, many times, and I've had people come in and we have great conversations. However, I still have not heard an argument that's like, oh, yeah, you're right. There is another gender. Because there's just not. Inherently, there's not. There's nothing you can do to prove that. There are only the chromosomal setup that we have. That's it. There's nothing beyond that. So it's just, it's crazy that people are tripping out about this. Who fucking cares? Who cares? Because at the end of the day, again, right? I can't change that I'm a female. You can't change that you're a male. All they're doing is
Exactly. And
calling a spade a spade. It is what the fuck it is. That's why we're trans. It's okay.
exactly. And I want to focus on what you said. You kind of, skip past it because, and I get why, because, most people probably will think like, oh, Braxton's a self-hating trans
Oh, I
man,
get it all the time.
but you're not.
No.
You saying what you said, I have been telling myself that lately, because I've been going through it, because I'm already dealing with a lot through my recovery.
Sure.
But, my gender dysphoria has been eating my ass, eat me like crazy lately, because now that I've had this, I'm trying to focus on what's next for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do I want to work on, And the reason for that is because exactly what you said, right? We're fitting a role. We have to maintain that. We have to keep up with that.
Yep.
Because we are not.
Yep.
I am not a biological woman. I do everything I can to be seen that way in society.
Yep.
But that means I have to keep working at it. I especially I don't. I know you know my true intentions. So I know you won't take this wrong way.
Sure.
I'm not saying that your shit is so much easier on y'all side, but on
Right.
the trans woman side, there is a lot to keep up with. You know, you got to, you know, like your brows got to, you know, be good. You know, like lashes, makeup, you know, hair, the whole nine. There's a lot to like going into like presentation wise. Like I
Yeah.
know, like oh, all those things don't make a woman, right? Of course not.
Sure.
But
But
I'm saying
makes
it
the
through
perception of a
society.
woman.
Exactly. Perception of a woman is what I'm talking about. And to keep up with that perception and to keep that perception to be like, oh, if somebody looks at me, are they getting woman?
Yeah.
Well, they would get that if I continue to work on that.
Right.
But I have to do that every day. If I take all this off and I look in the mirror, I'm not seeing, you know, a woman. Like most
Right.
people wouldn't see a woman in society if I took all this off. You know,
Yeah.
so I
I
am
felt that.
filling a role.
Hmm.
I do that to feel better. That's like gender dysphoria will you know be with you all your life. It doesn't
Yep.
matter. You could get every surgery in the book. You could do whatever you want. You're never going to escape gender dysphoria. But what you can do is temporarily alleviate how that makes you feel in the moment.
Correct.
Because if I do
Correct.
my makeup and I look like this, guess what? The majority of my gender dysphoria has been alleviated.
Yep.
Now it will increase again when I take it off.
Yep.
That's a part of life. I have learned that that's exactly how life's going to go.
Yep.
I'm going to have my moment where I do all of this. I step out of the house and I'm loving life. I come back, I take it off, and, you know, I have to understand like, hey, cool, it's fine. I'm at the house. You know, I don't need all of this stuff because I'm in my own house, right?
Right.
But ultimately, I didn't want to jump past what you said because I think that needs to be like spoke on because
Yeah.
it's okay for us to realize that we're filling a role and you know that yeah, like what is transition if we're not trying to fill a role? Like I
Yeah.
don't understand. Like
Why even
you're saying that
transition?
you identify as a woman,
Yep.
you want to fulfill that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
When it's crazy that, people like you and I are labeled as transphobic, right? When or self-hating or whatever it might be, when in reality, like, we care more about trans people than most people in the community care about trans people. And by that, all I really mean is that I'm willing to be so incredibly real with a person, especially a trans person. That's like, you and I ask each other shit about, well, am I passing enough today? Does this pass? Is this, I ask my wife about that all the time, constantly. Right. And I want an honest answer, right? Because I want people that care enough to see that this is important to me. So if you want to pass or you want comfort in your life or you want these things, why would you not listen to the people that have achieved that already and have gone through this shit? I'm not telling you things to be transphobic or it's not even transphobic ideology. It's literally just living within reality. And I'm trying to get you on the same page there so that you don't have to be so fucking miserable anymore. I know what it's like to be on that side of things. The very beginning of my transition was like that. The first couple years, I was incredibly fucking liberal. I've said this many times. You can find it in several of our episodes that we've done. I hated myself at that point. Now that I'm on this side, I truly actually love myself very, very much. And it took a lot of work to get here. And it took a lot of painful moments and a lot of painful realization of what the reality is of that, I am a trans man and I'm always going to be biologically woman and this, that, and the other. And that shit sucks. That's not lost on me. However, it's still real. It's still just inherently truthful. It's not transphobic. It's just truthful. And so we give this information to you guys because we give a shit. Because we don't want you to be miserable or be living your life in fear for the rest of time. That's awful. That's a terrible way to live. I want you to love yourself the way I love myself. It's way nicer on this side of things. So hopefully that resonates with at least somebody because again, we're not transphobic by any means. We actually give a shit about you. We're just real, and we're not going to sugarcoat and candy coat everything so that you feel better about things because you're never going to grow. You're never going to be successful if that's all you receive your whole life. It's just not going to happen.
Well, let's be real on that angle, right? And I'm glad you mentioned it about like the hey, do I pass today and this and that. first of all, I want people to realize, because I hear it sometimes, like if I ask somebody like, hey, do I pass today? They're like, oh, well, girl, you shouldn't be so worried about like what people think or whatever. Like, no, 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 no. I didn't ask that to be given a speech, right? I understand. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that I'm not confident, right? I just want, like, maybe some of it's some confidence issues, right? But that comes with the role of being trans.
Right.
Sometimes you're more confident. Sometimes you're like,
Mhm.
I don't know,
Yes.
like it's an up and down. It's like a roller coaster. Like it really is. But the thing is, I want somebody to be honest with me. Like you said, like the problem with the left is they'll say, yeah, you look fine. Yeah, whatever. Because they're just pushing a narrative. As long as you're fitting that narrative, you are good to go. Like they don't actually give a shit about like how you look. You know what I mean? Like they're not really going to tell you these things, but your close people, and maybe some of them will keep it honest. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
I doubt it, because they just, a lot of these people just want you in the door.
Yep.
As soon as you're there, they could care less. They're moving on to the next person, right?
Yep.
You're just another number that they added into the group.
Correct.
So the thing is that, yeah, I now have people, like around me, like you and we have these discussions. Like I'm like, hey, am I giving woman today?
Yeah.
Like it's just, you know what I mean? Like it's something that's normal. But I think that, yeah, I mean, the left, I promise you, is just going to tell you you're good to go and stop worrying about it
Yep.
and this and that. And that's not in the end going to make you feel better.
No.
Because I hear that a lot from their side of like, oh, don't worry about it. Like you don't have to pass. You don't have to this. You don't have to that. And it's like,
You don't
if you
have
go out,
to.
yeah, you don't
Sure.
have to, but you got to understand that you're going to get a lot of
Yeah, you're
backlash
not gonna
with
get what you want
reactions.
out of the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
Exactly.
like
So
if you've
that's
ever
that's
watched
why.
American Idol, especially like the early days of American Idol. I feel like they're not as bad about it now, but early days when American Idol first started, you would have these people that would come in to audition and like, oh, all of my friends and my family tell me I'm so talented.
Here, I think the judges will think that my voice is unique and that I'm bringing something new and something different. Kind of sounds like maybe Paul Robeson or maybe Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. My specialty is anything that's low.
Are you excited to be here?
Yes, I am. How can I not be?
And can you sing?
Yes, I can.
And what are you gonna sing today?
I'm going to sing Go Down Moses.
Oh, okay. Whenever you're ready.
When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand. Let my people go. Go down, Moses. Down in.
That's what you guys look like. Like, that is
Exactly that part.
100% what you guys look like when you do that shit. It's like, oh, well, everyone else said that, but it's not real. They can sit there and tell you all day that it doesn't matter if you pass or that you're a great singer, but if you're not, you're just not. And the rest of the world is not going to perceive you that way. You're not going to win American Idol. You're not going to win Trans Idol. It's just not going to happen. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's the thing. I tell all my close friends and family, like, please don't let me walk out of the door
Mm-hmm.
looking
Please.
fucking crazy.
Please.
Please don't let me do that. Because that shows me that you don't really care about me. You're
Uh-huh.
like, oh, well, if Alyssa gets laughed at today, then so be it. Maybe she'll learn something, Like,
Yep.
that's not how I need to learn, Like,
Correct.
I need good quality friends and family, because I don't want those crazy reactions. I'm trying to show
Exactly.
people if you put a little effort in, like you get a good reaction out of it.
Correct.
Like, even if you're a little clocky, right?
Sure.
People will still respect it because they be like, okay, she's got long hair, she's got the makeup on, I'll respect it,
Yeah.
And I want to get into a little bit too, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, Republicans aren't really for, trans as much as you think, right? Because there's a video, and I know you're going to react to it here shortly, because I send it to you.
Yeah.
But it talks about like, oh, hey, the Republicans are always going to see like trans women as a man in a dress and this and that, and you're out voting for the man that is gonna push all that stuff, and like that whole party is basically always going to view you as that. But you think because you vote for these people or you're a part of this party that they're now going to welcome you in with open arms. I will tell you that I've told a lot of Republicans my story, and you know what? They treated me kindly.
Yep.
They welcomed me because I wasn't spreading idiocracy.
Correct. If you're real with people, there is so much respect that comes out of that. You being real is going to get you more respect than you being a whiny little bitch. Sorry that I'm not sorry. That's just fucking reality, babe. Like, even as a trans person, if you come to me and it's just this big old fucking sob story, and you know, you're telling me all this shit that I know inherently just is not true, I've already written you off, because that is a waste of my time. You're not within the realms of reality. You clearly can't actually think for yourself. You are sheep. Go do that. Go find your herd somewhere else. It ain't here. I'm the same way, and I'm fucking trans, and I have no desire to sit and listen to that. That's crazy, and it's just annoying, truly. If you can't just be real about things, like, and it's crazy because most of the time the reaction that I get is people like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're saying that. I can't believe that you like accept the fact that you're biologically female." I said, "Well, duh. What do you mean? Like, I am. There is no denying that. So yeah, of course I accept that, and I don't really have a choice. I mean, I can deny it. It doesn't make it any less real or any less true. And it's scary when people are just able to deflect reality like that. It's crazy. That's scary. What else are you able to just write off in your mind? I don't want to find out. I'm good. I'll stay on my side of things. You stay on your side of things.
Exactly. Honestly. Yeah, so if you don't mind, if you want to take a look at that video that I sent you,
Let's do it.
we can kind of talk about that because I talked about a little portion of it, but I'm curious for your reaction on this.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a watch real quick. I'll pop up the video somewhere on here. Let's see.
I have to come on here and say something because I really don't give a fuck. If you're a T girl and you voted for Mr. T, bitch, you're a biological male. Point blank, period, bitch. You're a man in a fucking dress. That's all they think of you as, bitch. And basically, you want to invade women's spaces, bitch, but then you don't even want to vote for women's rights. So it's giving XY chromosome if you fucking voted for the red part. I have to come on here and say something because I really
What?
Do you see why I shared that with you?
This alone embodies what is fucking wrong with the left. One, you just got angry because somebody voted for the party that you say will call you a man in the dress, all while calling trans women a man in a dress. You just did the same thing you're demonizing people for. Also, regardless, sweetheart, I hate to break it to you. You can get, I mean, when I put this video up, which it'll be up for this, you'll see they got titties just out, right? Okay. Uh lip fillers, all that shit, whatever. You're wearing girl clothes, you got your hair up. Honey, you're still a man with titties on your chest now. You're a trans woman, and that's totally fine. All the love to you. And I hope that you live a very long and prosperous and amazing life full of love and patience and kindness and all of these wonderful things that humans are meant to enjoy. However, you are still a biological male. Even if you voted for Kamala, you are still a biological male, my friend. It doesn't change it just because you didn't vote for Trump. This is the delusion. It's fucking delusion, and it's crazy because y'all are so quick to demonize these people, and then you turn around and you do the same thing. It's okay when you do it, but it's not okay when the other people do it. It's the same as thinking that because you and I are trans, we should have voted for Kamala, that we're just, Kamala is owed our vote because we're trans. Yeah, fit me in this little box that you've made for me, please. I'm so fucking over that. I'm so over that. That is so ridiculous. Just because I'm trans, I belong in your little box. Absolutely fucking not. I'm an independent thinker. I'm a human being. I have my own set of life experiences that have guided me to think the way that I think. And high key, honestly, babe, what is your name? Eden? Fuck you, Eden. Fuck you, Eden, because that is the craziest shit for you to for you to sit here and say that you are a man in a dress, but I'm not. But I'm not. To infer that, you're batshit crazy, babe. Get some help. See a therapist. Please, like an actual good therapist, not one that's just going to affirm.
Yeah, not
Because you
an
need help.
affirming
You
therapist,
need
a
help.
real therapist. Yeah, exactly. No, I shared the exact same like reaction that you had when I first watched that. And it's crazy. It's like you notice, I want people, even if you have to scroll back a little bit, like time wise on this podcast,
Mhm.
I want you to see what Braxton just did, right? He all he just did is he reacted to it, right? He called out the bullshit in what she said, but he also kept it very respectful and said, I hope you have a long
Sure, and I
lustrous
mean
life.
that. I mean
I
that.
know that. I know you do, but I'm saying they probably don't, and I'm
No.
trying to get people to
No.
recognize that you were sincere with that.
Mhm.
But the left, oh my god, because we didn't vote Trump, or we didn't, or because we did support Trump. Oh, we're so horrible. We're these horrible
Yeah.
people. I am apparently this man in a dress now because I support Trump, which is crazy. How you're not included in that, even that, like,
Correct.
it's crazy. And say like, oh, it's giving biological male. Okay, well then what are you?
Correct.
You're not. You're
Correct.
not.
What do you
You're
mean?
not.
It's giving
What do you
XY
mean?
chromosome, bitch. What chromosomes do you got? XY,
Exactly. Like
honey. Come on now.
exactly.
Oh my god,
Like
that shit's crazy.
yeah, it's insane. And the thing about like, oh, you want to invade women's spaces and you don't want to support women's rights. Like I get it, right? Technically, trans women are a guest in a woman's space, and
Sure.
I 100%. I'll say that. But you know what? I put effort in. You know,
Right.
I do everything I can. I'm very respectful.
Yep.
For one, I had surgery too, so it's like
Right.
that is kind of, I feel like, a lot more my place than it used to be.
Absolutely.
I'm still a guest. I'm not,
Well,
trying
because
to
at that
upset,
rate, in a
people
men's
here.
bathroom, you are now, I would say, almost at equal danger as a biological
Oh,
woman
for sure.
going into, because now you don't have the same body part that there, it easily could be treated the exact same way as a biological woman. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's different. But you, like you said, you put in work, you put in effort, you put in money, you put in time,
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
exactly.
These lazy leftists, they just don't want to do it. They don't want to. They don't want to work for fucking shit. Well, that's a harsh
That's
reality coming for you, babe. You got to work for shit.
really, but I mean, yeah, it's true. But I just thought that was so funny, like her reaction to everything. Because honestly, it's not just her reaction. I've
It's
heard a
just share.
lot of leftists who have that exact
Mhm.
feeling.
Mhm. This is just
Because
a really good one to encompass all of it. Because yeah, you're right.
oh
There's
yeah,
so
that
many people
video
saying shit like
was
that.
very much everything that the left is saying about trans people who are voting against their rights.
Yep. But I
So
was voting,
crazy.
and this is the thing too, right? Me voting against you is voting in my own interest because you don't give a fuck about the actual trans people, right? You don't give a fuck about, you sit here and you say all day that you're for trans people and that trans people deserve this, trans people deserve that, until that trans person doesn't think the way that you do. That's bullshit. So no, I did not vote against my own interest. I voted in my own interest because people on that side of things don't have my best interest in mind. And that's okay. I'm not mad at you for voting for Kamala because clearly I don't have your interest in mind. And I don't have to. The same way you don't have to have my interest in mind. That's okay. But I'm going to vote accordingly. I'm not going to vote to please you and to please a crowd of people that fucking hates me. Truth be told, leftists are far more hateful to me than any Republican has ever been. Ever been. So I'm not going to vote in your interest. You are absolutely 100% correct. If you want people to vote the way you want them to vote, I don't know, maybe try to fucking appeal to them. That's crazy. Instead of being a fucking shithead to people that don't think the way you do, especially when they are trans. That's crazy. You're crazy. Get help.
That part, 100%. Get some help because it's crazy seeing all these reactions, and it's like I'm telling you, this whole morals and values, like, oh, if you voted Trump, you don't got no morals, you don't got values, you don't have none of that. But it's like you guys are so fucking toxic. We are like, I'm not a Republican, right? I'm a centralist.
Correct. That's
I
what I'm
am in the
registered as.
middle, but I am so far right leaning because of all the craziness of the left.
Yep.
And it's the left can blame itself for the I already said that I couldn't vote because I was healing. I was fresh off of healing.
Right.
So there's no way that I
You're
could
not gonna go
have
stand in a poll or do anything. No.
there's no way I could have voted.
Yeah.
But yes, my vote would have went for Trump. And it's because I'm tired of the fucking insanity in our own community.
Yep.
I'm tired of it.
Absolutely.
And all the people that are voting for Kamala, like a lot of the people who are voting for Kamala are fine with it.
Yep.
And I was tired of it. So my vote went against the transgender insanity.
Correct.
Absolutely. The Trump mentioned. And it's craziness. And we're trying to fix our community while the left is trying to destroy it. They've been pretty successful at it.
Correct.
So far. We're not going to allow it to continue.
Yep.
We're not.
Absolutely.
Because we are fighting back. And I guarantee you that once some change is actually made, you might not see it right now, but in the future, you'll see, wait a minute, life is actually better.
Yep.
Wow. I wonder how.
It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm also, you know what? I'm going to take this second real quick too. If you are on the right side of things and you vibe with anything that Alyssa and I have to say, and you do actually give a fuck about actual trans people, I would encourage you to share this video out because I would like to sit down with Mr. President Trump, myself, and speak with this man and prove to all of you that all of these things that you are afraid of, not obviously the people that are on the right and agree with this, but all of you leftists that are incredibly scared and you're just like totally up in arms about this shit, I would love the opportunity to prove to you that Trump is not against us. Not at all. I guarantee you, if I could have just a 10-minute conversation with this man, I guarantee you in 10 minutes, I could prove to you that this man does not have an issue with transgender people. He has an issue with the transgender insanity, with the community, with the bullshit that y'all are pushing. I can very easily make this a point for you. So please, if you can find it in your heart, share this out. Fucking tag Trump if you need to. Tag people from his cap. I don't care. Tag whoever the fuck you need to, right? But get this shit out here. Let's have a chat with Trump. Let's do it. But that's what we're going to push for. That's my goal for 2025 is to at some point next year sit down and have a come to Jesus with our new president. I'm very excited to get that going. I'm going to manifest right here right now that it's going to happen. So I'm excited.
That would be amazing. And I think that, we would get so much good feedback on that because, yeah, I think if the opportunity was there, absolutely, we could prove exactly everything that we stated in this podcast.
Correct.
Like as much as all the leftists want to say, oh, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Let's have that conversation and let's see. Let's
give it a chance first.
Let's see who's right here,
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Trump, let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap up this podcast. I know it's been a minute, but I promise y'all we are back to consistency with the podcast. I am so totally down to continue. This has been fun. I'm back in my element. It feels amazing to be doing podcasts. I enjoy it. Even speaking about all the craziness that we have to speak on. It can be tiring. I'm not going to lie to you, but at the same time, it's entertaining because I know that we are giving out the right message. Yeah. We're not falling to all these other people who are like, oh, this and that. And you know what I mean? We're not falling to that because we're actually able to see past all the bullshit.
Correct.
We're able to, work within reality. So that's what keeps me doing this. And I'm hoping that more and more trans people can see, like, don't let the left keep controlling you and saying all these things. And, you don't have to be a Republican. I'm not a Republican. I'm a centralist.
Yep.
But I
Just think for
still
yourself. Learn to think for yourself.
exactly think for yourself. Like that's the big thing. And it honestly proves the point that because you don't vote or think like they do, they will attack the hell out of you.
Yep.
How many
They're
Republicans
telling
do you see doing that? How many people on the right do that? I
Yep.
don't really see that. They don't give a fuck who you voted for. They really don't.
Yep.
Like I never really cared if somebody voted for Kamala. We have different life experiences.
Yep.
And that's fine. But I voted for what I felt, well, I say I voted, but I would have voted for exactly what I wanted, and I support exactly what I want.
Yep.
That doesn't make me a bad person. So, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on YouTube, of course, where you're probably watching this more than likely. But yeah, definitely give it a like, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you. Exactly. 5 stars on Spotify. And we will see you next week with the next topic. So thank everyone for listening and or watching, and everyone have a great night.
Bye, guys.